Hey, what's going on? This is BTVR, Big TV Reviews. Today we're going to be reviewing Ozark Season 1. Let's get started. So this first segment is going to be the spoiler-free review. This is where I review Ozark Season 1 minus the spoilers. You might be asking yourself, what's Ozark all about? What's this show all about? Well, pretty much a short spoiler-free summary is that a man who works for the mob, he launders money for the mob, he finds himself in a bit of a pickle and he has to launder $8 million by the end of the summer, or else he dies, his family dies, his kids die. It's a whole thing. It's a whole to-do. So in each review, I like to say who I'd recommend the show to. And I would recommend this show to pretty much people who like Breaking Bad and other suburban crime shows such as The Sopranos. Is pretty much your run-of-the-mill. It's like the family versus the world kind of. So very similar to Breaking Bad. And here is my actual spoiler-free review. First off, it's a poor man's Breaking Bad. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say it's better than Breaking Bad, because it's not. It doesn't even come close to the quality of Breaking Bad. However, it's good. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying it's definitely drawing inspiration from Breaking Bad, but it's not quite there. It's going to grab you right from the start. You're going to see the first pilot and be like, holy shit, this is a really good show. But later on in the season, it's going to slow down a little bit around episode 5, maybe 6, 7, and it kind of goes down to fairly mediocre, but it is held up by a pretty good cast of characters and pretty good acting all around. You're going to want to see what happens next. It's not going to be like you're going to stop watching. And while I say there's a great cast of characters, there are a few that really stand out and are going to stick in your mind for a while. There's some great performances, really. But overall, the whole cast is like, it's primed for big things in the future. Like, it's gonna get a lot better. Weird to put this at the end, but the overall feel of the show is really cool. It's not really something you've seen before. It's very blue, like especially when they're in Chicago. Very bleak, but it's not like it's a non-interesting color palette. It's a very interesting color palette, I think. And it just lends the whole show a really interesting feel and kind of helps with the subject matter, I think. I'm gonna give my rating now. I think I would rate Ozark Season 1 a 7.3. Yeah, that's the rating. And now the spoiler full segment of my review. This is where I dish out a few spoilers. If you've seen this show before, this is the part you're gonna want to dig into because I've got some opinions. First, things I liked. I really liked just the money laundering concept. After Breaking Bad, that was really the first show that I think that I saw that dove into money laundering. And I thought, hey, it'd be cool to have a show that's just the money laundering aspect. Like, sure, Walt's a meth cook and all, but a show about money laundering, that'd be cool. And here comes Ozark, and it is really interesting. All this investing in other companies and stuff. Honestly, I wish it would go a little more into like how that works. He just talks about like expenses. It's a little vague, but it's cool to just see him like invest in a lot of companies. The funeral home is wild. Funeral homes upcharge on everything, and you can launder so much money through that. So I'm hoping that there's a lot more of the funeral home in season 2, and the church was really cool, which moves me on to the second thing that I really liked, which was the preacher. The preacher's whole storyline I thought was really good. He was one of the characters. I wouldn't call him like one of the top characters because he wasn't really featured too heavily, but he was a character that I thought was really interesting, and the things that he faced, like his moral struggle with like the heroin and stuff, that was cool. But yeah, the preacher, I liked that a lot. Oh, I wasn't sure what I wrote there, but it's the O's before each episode. That's cool. That's cool. It's like a little precursor, like Cormac McCarthy, Blood Meridian. That reference might fall on deaf ears because not many people have read that book, but like it gives you like a little preview of what's going to happen in the episode, and you kind of think for yourself, and then once that thing comes up in the episode, you're like, oh, that's the vulture, or oh, that's the syringe. But yeah, that just lended a whole new level to like the strange aspect of it, you know. It went with the theme and the colors and all of that. It was sick. And then Ruth's failed killing and then successful killing. That was sick. I'm still not quite sure how it worked, but the rigging of the dock and the realization, I mean, everyone knew that Bateman wasn't going to die immediately, that Marty Byrde wasn't going to go out in Ep 6 or whatever it was, but like, that was suspenseful when he was about to grab that railing. And then when she killed her uncle, both of her uncles, that was wild. Just the whole rigging aspect was cool. Things I didn't like. This segment's going to be shorter because I liked a lot. There were a lot of plot holes. The first one being when Charlotte gets pushed out of the boat by Wyatt, and I don't think they ever talked about where they were going to go. But even if they did, they never said, like, we're going to this bathroom. So when she gets pushed out and then she goes back to Marty, and Marty's like, oh, they took the money. And she's like, Dad, I think I know where it might be. That didn't really make sense because they never talked about where it might be. And then when Marty goes, he just walks straight up to this bathroom. That didn't really make much sense because I don't think Wyatt was like, let's go to a bathroom. Let's go on this boat and head to the bathroom. Marty just goes and he finds them, and it was a good scene. But like, that's just something that kind of takes you out of it. Another thing, Wendy, when she went up to Wyatt and like threw that possum at him or whatever the that was, how did she know where they lived? I don't think she did. I might be grasping for straws here to find things I didn't like, but how did she know? So there you go. That's another thing. And then, pretty sure I know what I wrote down. The kids, pretty unlikable characters, and pretty unnecessary too. What I would have understood is like, oh, the kids don't know about this, so the kids are going to be an important plot point because Marty and Wendy have to continuously hide what they're doing from the kids. It just adds a whole level of tension. But now the kids know, and they're just kind of there, and they're taking up like important screen time that could be given to more interesting characters. Like they try to develop Charlotte and Jonah, but Jonah kind of sucks, and he's just really interested in guns and killing animals, and that just kind of sucked all the screen time out of it. Just kind of felt like they were going for more of the feel than of actual plot, and that didn't really make sense. And then Charlotte swimming and just kind of being like nagging everyone, Marty, Wendy, just taking up screen time, and the screen time is precious. Wendy telling the kids was great. That was a great moment. That was like, oh, she's had enough. She's done with it, you know? Get out of here with this kid and the flashback episode. I hate flashback episodes. I hate them so much. They rarely push the plot forward, and even when they do, it's like, this is lazy, this is a lazy way to push the plot forward. Even when they succeed in pushing the plot forward, it's typically like a more boring episode than it would have been if they just kept moving forward with the main story. Just allude to the past, and trust the viewers to figure it out. That's my thought. That being said, this was one of the better flashback episodes. It actually held my attention and I enjoyed it, but just the flashback episodes and the kind of episodes that just stray from the main plot as a whole to just provide background information, just not a huge fan of that. Not a huge fan of that at all. And they did it, so gotta talk about it. Now we're moving into characters, and the characters I liked and the characters I didn't like. Characters make or break a TV show, and these are the best and the worst of Ozark Season 1. Number 1, the character I liked, Marty. He's great. He's very smart. He talks his way out of situations. Talking your way out of situations is something that you don't see male leads doing very often. You see like Saul Goodman and Better Call Saul do it. You see Walter White do it a lot. But Marty, he's just not a very physically imposing character. He has to talk his way out of things, and I would contend that a solid wit, a fast wit, and some smarts are more intriguing to watch than just someone who shoots and punches his way out of bad situations. And Ruth is awesome. I'm such a huge fan of Ruth. She is the crown jewel of the Langmore family, to be sure. I mean, Wyatt's smart too, but Ruth is obviously the criminal mastermind, and she is incredibly entertaining to watch. I've already discussed the riggings. The riggings were cool, just running the strip club and all. Her dad, the dynamic between her and her dad, kind of strange, but it provides a little bit of background into why Ruth is the way she is and why she needs to be super commanding and stuff in her life because her dad was commanding of her. So that's cool. She's cool. She's just really cool. Characters I didn't like. The FBI guy. What the Yeah, let's just take an FBI guy and we don't have anything to develop his goddamn character. Let's just make him gay and insane. Sounds like two things that go well together. Literally, they didn't develop this character at all. They had him in the flashback episode, which was fine. It wasn't fine, actually. It was bad. It was just his mom. Developed his mom and said he had a past relationship with a doctor. That's it. It didn't really say anything about why he is the way he is right now. Mommy issues, but like, I don't see the parallel there between just being a psychopath and destroying relationships. Nowhere in the flashback episode did it say why. He sucks. I hate him. Gay characters can be really interesting. Look at Omar Little and Oberyn Martell from The Wire and Game of Thrones respectively. Two standout characters in the series. For them, for their character, like, being gay was almost like an afterthought. Like, it wasn't like the writers were like, oh, this guy's gay. That's his character. That's who he is. So make this FBI guy more interesting. That's all I ask. And then, psycho hillbilly lady, she's insane. She's not a good character. She's not even close to a good character. She's just a psychopath. That's it. Like, I'm not a huge fan of either of the Snells because they're just bad. Bad characters. Make them better. That's all I ask. If they're going to be the main villains, if Dell's going to be dead and the Snells are going to be the main villains, make them better. Now, to round out this review, we're in the end game portion. This is what I call the end game corner. I think that for shows, it doesn't really matter how you start. It does matter how you start, that's a lie. But how you start and how you end are weighted very differently. Like, you have to start strong, obviously, to keep people watching. But the ending is so much more important, I think. That if you're going to watch a whole series all the way through, I would rather have a good ending than a good start. But that's just me. So I rate the end game of certain TV shows because that's what I think is the most important part. And Ozark's end game, not great. I've already said that it started good, the season started good and got worse. That's true. And the end game is what really propels my thought in that. I'd like to start with Wendy and the kids leaving. Never once thought that they would stay gone. Never once did I think that. Never once did that cross my mind. I was never like, oh God, what are they gonna do? It was just so very clear that they weren't gonna stay gone. So very clear. So that didn't provide any suspense, and you need suspense in an endgame. Oh, and I didn't like the bringing together the Snells and the cartel and Dell getting shot in the head. I think that was a bad choice. Keep Dell around. He's a good character. Kill psycho hillbilly lady. She's a bad character. Didn't like that. I don't like the way the whole next season is unfolding with the casino being built on Snell territory. I mean, it's a good idea. Marty's a good, smart man. Not a good man, but a smart man. So, The old guy killing the hitman was pretty cool. I mean, that's something that got me out of my, it didn't get me out of my seat, but it got me pumped. I was like, hell yeah, go old guy. Like, I like you. I like the old guy. Don't know why he's messing with that Jonah kid. More old guy, less Jonah. That's all I ask. And I mean, throughout the whole season, Dell was like a good character, but I wish I saw more of him. He was cool. Like a possibility for like a really good TV villain. And that's really important. A really good antagonist in any story. And Dell was that. So I wish they had kept him around a little more throughout the season. So the end game is just a lackluster end game. I think 7.3 is fair for Ozark.